Imagine for a second that you have completely hacked life.
Hmm.
I'm talking about the absolute peak. You're eating the cleanest, most amazing organic food. You've got a sleep schedule that, a biohacker would be jealous of.
Solid 8 hours, deep REM, the whole deal.
The whole deal. You're wearing these incredible, high-quality clothes. You look sharp. You feel comfortable. I mean, by every single metric of modern wellness, you are winning.
It sounds like the Instagram ideal, doesn't it? That's the goalpost for a lot of us. That's what we're told the good life looks like.
Exactly. It's the dream. But then you open up the source material we're looking at today, and you just get hit by a freight train.
Yeah.
Because according to this text, it's a composition by Guru Amar Das Ji, the third Nanak. If that comfort is the absolute ceiling of your existence, you're not just missing out. You're described as drit.
Cursed.
Curse.
Yeah.
A curse. I mean, it is such a heavy, violent word. And honestly, when I first read the translation, I felt a little, attacked.
Yep.
I mean, what's wrong with a good nap and a good meal? Why is the guru coming for my creature comforts? It felt, personal.
And that's a completely natural reaction.
Yeah.
I think that defensiveness is exactly what this text is designed to provoke.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't some gentle suggestion.
No.
It's not a self-help tip. It's a spiritual intervention. We're looking at a Shabad, a divine hymn found on Ang 797 of the Guru Granth Sahib.
Okay, so before we really get into the cursed part, which I definitely want to unpack, let's set the scene. You said Ang 797. For anyone listening who might be new to this, we don't say page with Sikh scripture, do we?
Correct. We use the word Ang, which literally means limb. The idea is that the scripture isn't just a book. It's a living extension of the Guru.
Yeah.
It has vitality. It breathes.
A living text.
And this specific section is written in Rag Bilaaval.
Now, Rag Bilaaval, from what I remember, that's usually associated with happiness, right? Bliss and joy.
Exactly. It's the melody of serenity, of deep happiness.
Mm.
And that creates this fascinating tension right from the start. Well, you have this uplifting, blissful musical framework. It sounds like joy. But the lyrics are delivering this devastating critique of how we live. It's like a velvet hammer.
A velvet hammer. I like that.
The music pulls you in, it disarms you, and then the words hold up a mirror that shows you something very, very uncomfortable about your priorities.
So our mission for this deep dive is to look into that mirror without flinching. We need to figure out why the third Mehla guru, Amar Das Ji, thinks our comfortable, well-fed lives might actually be a trap. And I'm going to play the skeptic here because the language is intense.
It is.
There are metaphors about ladders, about duality. It's dense stuff.
It's dense, but it's also incredibly systematic. It's an argument laid out point by point.
Okay, so let's get into that opening argument. The text starts with a list of cursed things, and it's repetitive. It says, cursed. Cursed is the food. Curses is the sleep. Cursed are the clothes worn on the body.
Drit kana, drit pint.
Right. Why start there? Food, sleep, clothes, these are biological necessities. You die without them. Is the guru telling us to starve and walk around naked? Is this a call for extreme asceticism?
Not at all. And this is where we have to be so careful. Sikhism is emphatically not a path of asceticism. It doesn't tell you to go live in a cave or punish the body.
Right. The body is seen as a temple, Harmandir.
Exactly. So if the body's a temple, why is feeding it cursed? That sounds like a contradiction.
It does.
It's all about utility versus futility. Think of it this way. Imagine you buy a Formula One race car, a Feburary, a high-performance machine designed for one thing, speed, travel.
Okay.
But imagine you park it in your driveway and you spend your entire life just washing it, waxing it, and putting premium gas in it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
But you never, ever turn the engine on.
You're just maintaining the asset. You're a museum curator for your own car.
Precisely. You're obsessing over the maintenance, but ignoring the purpose. The guru is saying that food, sleep, and clothes are the wax and gas for the human body. They're necessary. But if your life stops there...
If that becomes the main event.
Yes. Then the whole enterprise is cursed. It's a total waste of the vehicle.
And the text gives us the condition for that curse right away, doesn't it? It says, these things are cursed when one does not find his Lord and Master in this life.
That is the qualifier, the khasam. If that connection is missing, then the food is just fuel for a machine that's idling in neutral. It's a critique of materialism, but a very specific kind. It's not money is bad. It's living only for biological satisfaction is a tragedy for a human being.
It's an opportunity cost argument. You're paying for the food with your very life, but getting nothing of real value back.
100%. You are trading diamonds for glass.
But then the blast radius of this curse gets even bigger. And this is where I think it might provoke people. It doesn't just stop at food and sleep. It says, Cursed is the body, along with family and friends, if that connection is missing.
Yeah, that one hits a little harder.
It does. I mean, family is usually the get-out-of-jail-free card in our culture, you know? People say, I'm not religious, but I love my family, so I'm a good person. This text seems to say, nope, not enough.
It's saying that even your most loving relationships can become a form of that drit, that accursedness, if they become the walls of your prison.
That is such a bleak way to look at a family dinner. Could you pass the cursed potatoes, please?
It sounds bleak on the surface, but look at the logic underneath. In this philosophy, the human incarnation is the absolute highest rung on the evolutionary ladder.
Okay.
It's the only form of life that has the capacity to realize the divine. A dog can't do it. A dolphin can't do it. Even angels are said to long for a human body to do this work.
So we're basically holding the winning lottery ticket. We're the only ones who can cash it in.
Yes. And if you spend this one precious lifetime just socializing, even with people you love, and you let those attachments reinforce the idea that this material world is all there is, well, then those relationships are holding you back.
So it's not the family that's bad, it's the attachment to the family replacing attachment to the divine.
Exactly. If your social circle just acts as an echo chamber for materialism, keeping you asleep, then from the guru's perspective, that circle is part of the curse. It's like being on that Feburary team, and everyone is just standing around complimenting the paint job while the race is happening without you.
You mentioned the evolutionary ladder a minute ago,
Yeah.
and that seems to be the central metaphor here. The text says he misses the step of the ladder, and the warning is immediate. This opportunity will not come into his hands again.
The line is pauRee chhuRakee for hasna aavai.
If the ladder slips, it does not come to hand again. Let's unpack this ladder. It implies a kind of hierarchy, a vertical journey.
It implies a journey that has taken eons. The ladder is that progression of the soul through, what's traditionally called the 8.4 million life forms. You've been a mineral, a plant, an insect.
Wow.
You've struggled through survival of the fittest. You've climbed and climbed, and now finally you are at the top step. You're human.
And the roof liberation is right there for the taking.
The Lord's land is right there. You just have to step off the ladder and onto the roof. But here's the danger. If you slip here, on this top step, you don't just bump your knee, you fall all the way back down.
Back to square one on the snakes and ladders board.
Correct. You go back into the cycle of birth and death. The text says, ahilaa, janam, gavaiaa, the life is wasted, uselessly. It's like finding a diamond and throwing it in the mud because you thought it was just a piece of glass.
I can feel the urgency in that.
That's where Guru Amar Dashi's voice comes from. He's saying, do you have any idea how rare this is? Do not blow this.
That creates a tremendous amount of pressure, though. I mean, if the stakes are eternal liberation versus millions of years rebooting as a newt, you'd think we would all be hyper-focused on that ladder. So why aren't we? What makes us miss the step?
The text gives a very specific diagnosis for that. It's not just laziness. It's dujabal.
The love of duality.
Yes. And this is a really nuanced concept. It isn't just loving bad things. It's the core belief that there is a second thing, the duja worthy of love, other than the one. It's the illusion of separation itself.
Can you give me a concrete example of what that looks like in practice?
Sure. Think of a movie screen. The screen itself is the reality. It's the canvas that makes everything possible. The movie playing on it is the illusion. The drama, the characters, the story.
Right.
Duality is falling in love with the characters on the screen so deeply that you completely forget the screen is even there.
Yeah.
You think the movie's the only reality.
So we get so caught up in the drama of our careers, our status, our relationships, that we forget the source code that's running the whole simulation.
Exactly. And the text says this love of duality, it does not allow him to lovingly focus his attention on the Lord. It fractures your attention. You can't climb a ladder if you're busy trying to build a permanent house on the step you're standing on. Duality makes us cling to the step.
And that clinging, that's what leads to the state of the manmukh. This is one of the two main, I guess, character types the guru describes here. You have the manmukh and the gumukh.
Right.
These terms get used a lot, but what defines a manmukh in this specific passage?
Manmukh literally translates to facing the mind or self-willed. In our terms, this is the person who follows their own ego, their own logic, their impulses as the highest authority.
Which, to be fair, is what modern society screams at us to do. Follow your heart, speak your truth, trust your gut. We're all trained to be manmukh.
We celebrate the manmukh in our culture as the rugged individualist. But the guru says this person is deluded by doubt. Bottom line, they're in bondage. And there's a description in this text that I find absolutely haunting.
What's that?
It says the man book is neither on this side nor on the other side.
Neither on this side nor the other. That sounds like limbo.
It is. It's a state of spiritual homelessness. Think about it. The manmak can't fully enjoy the material world because, deep down, they know it's temporary. They have that existential anxiety, the Sunday scaries of the soul.
Right, they know the other shoe's going to drop eventually.
But they also can't enjoy the spiritual world because they haven't done the work to connect. So they're just stuck in the middle, drifting, maintaining.
That feels incredibly relevant to the modern condition. That sort of vague sense of, is this it? That gray zone.
It is the very definition of the cursed state we started with. Now contrast that with the Gurmukh.
The one who faces the guru.
Yes. The text says their characteristic is ikOankaar. They are attuned to the one. It's a laser focus. They're not distracted by the movie. They see the screen.
And the text uses a beautiful word to describe them. Embellished.
Yes. They are decorated or adorned by the Lord. The implication is that by giving up their ego, they gain a dignity and a beauty that the manmukh could never buy with all the cursed clothes in the world. Their depth cannot be described.
But here's where I hit a wall. And I think a lot of listeners might too, we're told. Don't be a manmukh, be a gurmukh. Climb the ladder, focus. It sounds like a call to action. Like we need to pull ourselves up by our spiritual bootstraps and just try harder.
It does sound like that at first.
But then, I read this line, what are these poor beings? And Vichar. And it says, all are liberated or placed into bondage by you. Meaning, by God. So, which is it? Is it a ladder we have to climb with sweat and grit, or is it an elevator we just wait for?
And you have just hit on the central paradox of Sikh theology, and really of all mysticism, the tension between grace Nadhar and our own agency.
Because if it's all God's choice, if he binds some and liberates others, then why am I getting yelled at for sleeking too much? It's not my fault if I wasn't picked for the team.
That's the intellectual trap. The view here is that the guru is dismantling the ego, even in the act of seeking God.
Yeah.
If you think you are climbing the ladder because you were so smart and disciplined, well, that's just another form of ego. You're still being a manmukh.
Spiritual pride. Look at me, I'm the best climber.
Exactly. The text says, the Lord is the Jagjivan, the life of the world, and the Datta, the great giver. The realization is that you don't actually have the strength to climb. You have to ask to be lifted.
So it's about surrender.
It's an act of surrender. The text gives us the mechanism. It says, those who receive that grace do one specific thing. They contemplate the word of the Guru's Shabad.
The Shabad.
The divine word. Think of it like a radio signal. The signal, grace, is always being broadcast. It's everywhere. But you have to tune your internal receiver to the right frequency to hear it. The act of tuning, that's the contemplation. That's your effort. But the signal itself, that comes from the station. That's the giver.
That's a really helpful distinction. You can't create the signal, but you are responsible for turning the dial.
Precisely. If you don't turn the dial, the signal passes right through you. If you turn the dial but there's no signal, you get static. You need both. And the text says when you align with that Shabad, the Lord eradicates the sorrows of his servants.
Okay, so we've established the stakes. Don't waste this life. The obstacle, which is duality and ego, and the method, which is tuning into the Shabad. But now I have to ask the so what question for Monday morning.
The practical application.
Yes. We started this with the cursed, comfortable life. Does the solution require us to blow up our lives? Do I need to quit my job, leave my family, stop eating good food to avoid being drit? Because that's a hard sell for most people.
And Guru Amar Das Ji knows that. This is the beauty of the Sikh path. The answer is a resounding no. You do not have to leave.
But you just said family and food were cursed.
They are cursed if the master is forgotten. But look at the promise in the text. Harjan Maya Mainisatare. In the midst of Maya, the Lord's servant is emancipated.
In the midst of Maya.
That is the key phrase. You don't have to go to a mountaintop. You don't have to become a monk. The Yansevak, the servant of the Lord, achieves liberation while navigating the illusion.
It's the whole lotus in the mud idea.
Exactly. The lotus has its roots in the mud, the world, the family, the job. But its flower floats above the water, untouched. The guru is saying you can have the meal, you can have the sleep, you can love your family, but you change your relationship to them.
How does that relationship change?
You stop expecting them to fulfill you. You realize the meal is a gift from the giver, so you eat it with gratitude, not gluttony. You see your family as fellow travelers, not your property. When the khasam, the master, is found, the curse is lifted from the objects. They just become objects again. They lose their power.
So the curse isn't in the molecules of the food, it's in the mindset of the eater.
Perfectly put. And for the person who manages this, to live in the world but not be of the world, the text promises the ultimate victory. It says they conquer and destroy death.
That sounds like a superpower. But we all die physically, the gurus did. So this has to mean something else.
It refers to spiritual death. The Manmukh dies 1,000 times a day. Every time they lose money or are insulted or fear the future, they are dying. They're terrified of annihilation because they think their small ego is everything.
Because they think this body, this step on the ladder, is all they are.
Right. But the Gurmukh, the one tuned into the Shabad, realizes they are part of something timeless. When physical death comes, it's not a tragedy. It's just stepping off the ladder onto the roof. They've conquered the fear. They're already home.
It's a complete reframing of what a successful life looks like. We spend so much time optimizing our comfort, our stats, our assets. But this suggests we might be optimizing the decorations on a sinking ship if we don't have that central anchor.
It forces you to ask, are you building a life or are you just maintaining a lifestyle? Because those are two very, very different things.
Well, that is the heavy lifting for today. We've gone from the curse of the comfortable coma, up the ladder of evolution, and landed on the idea of being free right here in the mess of everyday life.
It's a journey from fear to freedom.
It really changes how I'm going to look at my lunch today. It's not just lunch, it's fuel. Don't worship the fuel.
Drive the car.
Exactly. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into this Shabad by Guru Amar Das Ji. But before we sign off, we always like to leave you with one final thought to chew on. What's the lingering question for our listener?
I want to go back to that image of the Manmukh being neither on this side nor the other. We often think of ourselves as good people because we aren't doing anything overtly evil. But the guru is warning us about the danger of being the indifferent person, the drifter.
The person just waiting in the lobby.
Right. So the question to ask yourself is, are you actively climbing the ladder, or are you just hovering in the middle, letting the opportunity of this precious body slip through your fingers while you decide if you really want to climb? Because according to this text, deciding not to climb is exactly the same as falling.
Are you climbing or are you hovering? That's a haunting question to end on. Thank you for listening to this deep dive. We hope it sparked something for you.